wow. When that boost builds.
All right, welcome back to Ferrari Sevenoaks. If you watched the teaser before this went live, you may or may not know that we have been invited down from the owner's point of view, but also Sevenoaks' point of view, to drive these three cars here, which is ridiculous. But today, as the title of the video would suggest, the F40. That was funny, the word F40, it's become quite an iconic symbol in the automotive world. The reason it was called F40 was because it was originally developed as a anniversary celebration car for the 40th anniversary of Ferrari. And over the years, it seems to have developed this sort of half awesome reputation, half terrifying reputation because of the massive amount of turbo power and turbo lag that sort of can catch you off guard, which I think we'll be sharing with you when we take it out for a drive shortly. I think the main thing about this car is its age for me always surprises me. This is now 35 years old. This was designed and launched just before I was born, which is crazy to think that even today, it's still one of the most iconic and fantastic driver's cars on the roads. Just over 480 horsepower and weighs around about 1,250 kilograms. So as far as a power to weight ratio goes, it sounds seriously in favor of good times. And then speaking of iconic, if we just poke on the interior here, it's these seats. I mean, I've always seen these seats, and it's just one of those features in a car which is truly timeless. Carbon Kevlar seats wrapped in Nomex of all fabrics. In this particular car, it's so clean. We've got that open gated shifter, pure organic steering, and one of the other stunning features is the completely exposed carbon Kevlar tub, to the degree that you can even see the seam stitching on the tub itself. So we've done the walk and talk in a previous video down at Ferrari Colchester. If you want to see these cars in a bit more depth and detail, click the link below. But today, this is all about the first drive. So enough details, let's go out and see what this thing feels like on, conveniently, a very hot, sunny day.
Okay, so, welcome to the Ferrari F40. Now, I've said some sentences on this channel over the years, and look, while these are rare, they're not like unicorn rare, but there's something about uttering those words, the Ferrari F40, isn't there? That's just so special. And here we are, and I just thought it would be interesting to share what it's like to drive around town first. I know that's really odd, and it might be somewhat of a slow build to the video, but it doesn't very often get spoken about, what it's like driving an F40 around town. I mean, it's pretty heavy clutch. It's got a very distinctive notchy gearbox. I mean, if you've ever skipped leg day at the gym, just take your F40 out. That'll sort your leg out. Well, certainly sort your left leg out anyway. So I thought I would briefly touch on this because it's not something that gets spoken about all that often. It's normally guns blazing, isn't it? And it's typically in the perfect environment up in the Alps somewhere. Today we're not in the Alps, today we're in Sevenoaks, and we're going to go and try our best to find some sort of country lane. But anyway, first impressions, as far as head turners go, a bright Rosso Corsa Ferrari F40 in the British sunshine will do that for most people. In fact, it goes so far as to say, if this is in the vicinity, pedestrians need a hand device to stop their neck from overstretching upon looking when this thing goes by. Gets so much attention. So at just over 1,250 kilograms and no power steering, no ABS, the power to weight ratio of this turbocharged 2.9 litre engine. It's a lovely power to weight ratio, but I think importantly, dynamically, you can feel it through the wheel just how dainty it is. That's quite a wide car, and it does feel it when you first get in it, but after a while it shrinks around you and it's not so bad. It's not as intimidating, and this for me is really the ultimate test. Slow around a village. Seems fine. Honestly, just feeling that turbo lightly spool up under a graceful throttle application. There was nothing heavy, nothing fancy there. Listen to this downshift. The throttle as well. You know, I'm so used to, or generally we are so used to driving fly-by-wire throttles, that to think that this is a lot more of an old school application of injecting fuel into the cylinders. The throttle response has a wonderful, light, floaty pickup about it. Lift off the clutch and off it goes. It's not difficult like a Carrera GT. And actually being left-hand drive, weirdly, for me right now, because I'm very conscious about being in this thing and looking out for curbs and various pinch points as we leave town, because it's left-hand drive, I'm finding I'm able to squeeze out every millimeter of the road and tarmac by placing the car as close as I can, for example, up against this wall here. But here we go, we're out now into the national speed limit area. It feels light. That's the biggest takeaway right now, is its lack of inertia, its lack of weight. Listen to this, ready? Oh wow. Honestly, the pedal placement as well for heel toe is lovely. On the effortless, when the turbo comes in, because of that lack of weight, and a massive amount of torque delivery, they feel so positive, and that again is a benefit of the lack of weight. There's not much stress under the components. Good Lord, this is such a magical, beautiful experience. These are the feelings you just do not get in modern day supercars. So much tactile feedback in the wheel, and look how light this is. No power steering, and yet dainty. It's lovely. What a thing. When it comes on boost, seriously people, when it comes on boost, it's such a magical experience. Now this is running a fairly sedate exhaust system. A friend of mine, Sam Moores, if you're watching, he runs the iconic F40 Blue, and that has somewhat of a non-standard exhaust system, is what I would say, and the sound of it. But importantly, that's the beauty of these things. You can tweak and build and augment them to sort of suit your preference, your profile, your driving characteristics. One of these with a proper screaming exhaust system on it. You can hear the induction noise from the turbo, and then when you lift off on the overrun, the pops and bangs you get from one with a spicy system, it's just the most glee-inducing thing you'll ever get out of a driver's car. One of the things I will say is there is somewhat of a precarious legend that follows this car, in that there's a lot of horror stories about the amount of them which are being crashed, and they're a massive handful. And yes, I can fully appreciate that. I mean, I'm tickling this car today, and you can feel, just as that turbo builds up, it's chomping at the bit. It wants to explode its energy and propel you down the road. And if that turbo was to come on cam while you were sort of under any sort of aggressive steering angle, it would probably introduce you to the undergrowth of Kent. However, we're in second gear right now. We're driving along behind some pretty sedate traffic. And other than it feeling a bit wide at times, it's totally fine. It's only when you take liberties with it that I think it would bite you. But up until that point, I'm just getting on with it. Seating position's great. Yes, it's got that sort of classic Italian slightly offset driving position, but it's not as bad as some of the real old Italian stuff. I think you can actually spend some decent miles in this car and step out feeling okay. That is to say there's not really air conditioning in this car. It's more of a sort of asthmatic hamster fart. So maybe a road trip in summer in, I don't know, the south of France. Great while you're in the Alps. Not so great if you get caught out in traffic and you've got no air flowing through these open windows right here. This is when turbocharged cars sounded good. What is it with modern day turbocharged cars not sounding very good? This 35-year-old one really did the business. One of the best sounding cars ever. Yeah, the gearbox. As you actuate the box, ready, listen to this. This thing seriously picks up momentum in a big way. Over 200 miles an hour, the F40 will do. Not that I've experienced it myself or intend on doing so today, but I've heard from very good sources that up in the upper echelons of the speed department, the front end on these gets a little bit, quote, floaty, aka not much adhesion of the front tires with the front end of the car. So yeah, I'm sure that's what 35-year-old aero will do for you, or perhaps lack of aero. Right, we've got a nice straight here in front of us. Let's just see if we can... We're ready. Good God. What a phenomenal experience. It's just full of energy. It's like a busy little bee. It's a busy ball of energy. It's sort of, it's hustling and bustling around the road. Yes, it's sort of finding the ruts and bumps, but when you get it onto a stretch of tarmac that's conducive to letting it go, honestly, the feeling is that of few others. The steering wheel is a little bit, well, the angle of the steering wheel is a little bit sort of bus driver, dare I say. It's at this sort of pitched angle. It's almost go-kart angle. I'm sure you've heard F40s being referred to as like grown-up go-karts, despite the fact that it's off this go-kart-esque chassis. Actually, the driving position itself, this upright seat and this sort of pitched angle steering wheel, and it's a very small circumference wheel. It does have that go-kart feeling about it. What this thing must have felt like. I mean, bearing in mind how incredible this thing feels right now in 2021. What this must have felt like in 1986. Looks like it just landed from Mars. Essentially, if you don't want to go on safari until you've got temperature in the tyres and you're familiar with the road surface and the way that this car eventually, inevitably, will break traction under heavy throttle, it's as simple as being disciplined with your right foot. That is literally it. If you just want to treat this thing with an ounce of respect, be on your ball the whole time, I think it will welcome that level of respect, and it will feed back to you with plenty of joyful miles without it scaring the pants off you too much. One thing that is quite amazingly refreshing, it's something you wouldn't really think about until it's presented to you, is the complete lack of infotainment, sat-nav, buttons, traction control. Just driver, 3 pedals, gear stick, wheel. That is it. It's so nice. The chances are you're not actually going that fast, but it's the sensation of the turbo kicking in after that quite substantial delay It's a theatrical moment. Every time you shift gear and you get in the boost band, it's pure theatre. It's like the crescendo of a production. And that is what makes it feel, I think, faster than it actually probably is. Honestly, what a magical thing. Here's a question for you. TDF or F40? Comments below.